So we're going to start with our faux whip topper. So I'm just using this whipped clay that I found at Michael's. It is Craft Smart brand. It is so convenient. It is very lightweight and fluffy. It is perfect for these fake whipped cream toppers. So it already comes pre-packed in the bag, and all you have to do is unscrew the lid and choose your icing tip that you're going to use. Now you don't have to use theirs. If you wanted to squeeze this into another bag and use a separate icing tip, you definitely could. I did remove the rubber stopper from the lid, and then now I'm just going around the entire top of my lid here, just being careful not to go too close to the edge, just because I didn't want it to overhang on the cup, and I wasn't sure how this was going to be, if it was going to run. However, it did hold its shape very well. I was really impressed with this. It does come out, it is obviously wet, and it does take 24 hours for it to fully dry. You can build this up as much as you want. I used about one bag for my entire topper here. Now I did one full base layer around the entire lid, and then I just kind of filled in a little bit more in the back just to make it a little bit higher. Just make sure that you do give enough room for the rubber stopper to go back into the lid. If you do have excess that overflows, just use a toothpick while it's still wet and just easily clean that or remove that off. Now I'm going to apply my UV DTF sticker. This is just basically like a permanent sticker. It is waterproof. It does not need to be sealed. These are perfect for an easy project like this. Once you press your sticker onto where you want on your cup, you're just going to remove the backing very carefully. Make sure that you do firmly press it down. Use a squeegee tool if you have one, and then just slowly peel that paper backing off. Once you do that, just make sure again that you rub it down, that you don't have any air bubbles, and that it is fully adhered. Now while the clay is still wet, I'm just going to mix up a little bit of my UV resin mixed in with my dispersion color. I'm using Leather from CCDIY. This is going to be for a chocolate, so I'm just adding a few drops. You don't need a ton. Now this is going to be for the drizzle over the top of our whip topper. So depending on how thick of a consistency you want, you may need to add a little more UV resin to have it drizzle. I did make mine a little thicker just because I didn't want it super thin to where it drizzled all over the side of the lid, and I didn't want to have to clean that mess up. So with mine being a little bit thicker, I kind of just placed it where I wanted it to and then kind of filled in those lines. Now, if you are doing this step while your foam is still wet, keep in mind that it is still squishy and it can get smushed down or messed up. So just be very careful when you're doing this step not to touch the foam so much that you don't ruin that design that you have. Then you'll want to pop that under the UV light and just make sure that it is fully cured. Now I'm going to add all of my little sprinkles. So I have these cute little fake marshmallows here and these little tiny pieces of chocolate that I'm just going to carefully press in. Again, this is still done while the foam is still wet, so they are able to be kind of smushed down just slightly into the foam here. That way it will hold them in place. Again, just be mindful here not to squish that foam down too much because it can mold and change shape, and it'll especially show fingerprints. So just be careful when you're placing these. I used a pair of tweezers just because that was the easiest for me, and I'm just kind of randomly placing these all over my topper. Once you have all of your sprinkles on, then you're just going to set that aside and just let it fully cure. It did take about 24 hours. However, depending on how thick you make yours, it may take even longer. It is air dry, so you do just want to make sure that you set that aside. You don't need to do anything further. Now we're going to do the Snowglobe portion for our cup. So I am using the Two Moms Craft Shack Original Magic Flow. This stuff, it was my first time using it and I am absolutely in love. I have messed with many different concoctions trying to get the same flow that I got here, and I am telling you, nothing that I have tried has worked. If you have a trick that works for you, definitely let us know in the comments, but I 100% recommend this product. I absolutely love how easy it was and how it holds my and suspends my sprinkles. So I am just adding my sprinkles first here. You can do sprinkles, you can do glitter, whatever you want. I thought for this specific design that matching the sprinkles that are on my topper would be really cute, so that is what I did here. Now for an easier application, I just dumped my Magic Flow into this little squeezy bottle with this needle nose tip. It worked wonders, so I filled it up more than halfway, and then I'm going to go back in and add more of my sprinkles. I did also add some of those cute little fake marshmallows, however those were a slightly too big, so they did fit into the bottom portion of my tumbler, which I thought was really cute, but they did not slide down the cup, which was perfectly fine with me. Just something to keep in mind if you're adding sprinkles, just know that they may not flow all the way down to the bottom of your cup like you had planned, and they might also clog the other sprinkles from being able to flow freely. Whether you are doing glitter or sprinkles, just make sure that you do occasionally kind of shake around carefully the cup, that way you can avoid any clumps of glitter or sprinkles whenever you're adding your liquid. Now I'm just going to fill it the rest of the way up here. Now you may have a little excess that does come out of the top. That is perfectly fine. So what we are going to do to make sure that we don't have any air bubbles in this cup is I am just going to take a syringe with one of the needle nose tips on it here, and I'm going to make sure that I do have excess liquid out of the top of the cup, and then I'm going to suck out the air bubble so that the liquid goes into the bubble. Make sure that you give it a few taps just to bring any of those air bubbles to the surface so that you can do the same thing and repeat to remove the air bubbles. Then we're going to add our little rubber stopper to the bottom, just soak up any of that liquid, and then once you are sure that there's no air bubbles, so flip your cup up and down, give it a good shake or two. As long as you don't have any air bubbles, you can seal the bottom with a very thin layer of UV resin. This just provides extra reassurance that nothing will leak out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this quick and fun little tutorial and you want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find all of the product links down below in the description, and don't forget to check for the discount codes.